As a former member of the British Army myself, I'd only ever heard tales of the legendary weapon that is the FAL, or FAL. Not quite old enough to have used it myself during my service. It was very much phased out by the time I joined up. However, being the fact that the FAL is in Division 2 is pretty much, for me, a grandiose highlight. Absolutely love this weapon. However, for me, there is one glaring flaw. See, if you math it all out and follow it through to its conclusion, despite the fact that bullet for bullet, the FAL is one of, if not the most powerful ARs in the game, but simply because it will be missing those last 10 rounds, it does fall short of what you could consider a meta AR. Some people will still consider it a meta AR anyway. My previous statement is still very up for debate, simply because people are still able to kill things within one magazine, and most people just don't care. But if you just follow the overall damage to its conclusion, because it is missing those 10 rounds, it really does fall short. Kind of the same reason Eagle Bearer is even considered any good, is because it has 10 more rounds than any other AR. So I wanted to try and figure out a way of getting the FAL to a higher magazine capacity, and I'm pretty sure you can already see where this is going. Despite the missing 10 rounds, the FAL is kind of a gold standard within Division 2. It is very accurate, despite the fact that I am terrible at aiming. It hits very hard, it's got some absolute weight to the weapon, the recoil is pretty minimal. Overall, it is just a very, very good weapon. That being said, personal gripe from me, those missing 10 rounds for some odd reason just did not sit right. So I've been wanting to make a true Patriot FAL build for quite some time. Sadly, trying to get True Patriot to drop with already a red attribute so I could change the core was proving difficult. But alas, I got there in the end, and henceforth this setup shall be dubbed NATO, although I've called it United Kingdoms of America in my loadout slots. Why NATO? Because it's a Belgian weapon used by the French army as well as the British army, and I'm running an American gear set because America. No problem can't be solved with the proper application of an FAL, as some might say. Now, the build itself is quite squishy, and you don't really have a lot of upfront damage as you would with your standard red build with the FAL. Upon testing, I was able to hit about 1.3 to 1.5 with my normal red DPS build. This will hit about 1.1 mil. However, when you factor in those extra, because essentially we're at 52 round mag, not 50 now. When you factor in those extra 12 rounds, your overall sustained DPS will be higher. You're only missing out on about 2 to 300k damage, unless you're getting a lot of consistent headshots, which I didn't test, probably should have tested that. But because you're getting those extra 12 rounds, your overall damage per magazine is just ever so slightly higher. I think it ended up being something like 52 million versus like 53.4, weirdly, so it's not a lot better. Shot for shot, you are doing less. Your time to kill is 0.3 seconds longer, so typical red build will do more burst DPS, whereas the True Patriot setup, because of those extra rounds, you will do more sustained DPS, simply because we're not relying too much on stacking, which is why I'm using Glass Cannon, not Obliterate, because I can't be bothered dealing with yet more stacking, although you can use Obliterate if you wish. Another one I tested was Overwatch, since I'm going to spending a lot of time in cover in order to utilise the buffs a little bit more correctly. Don't want to take too much damage so that I believe it's the white buff from True Patriot can't heal us as much, so that we don't go down or have to use that many armor kits or portray absolutely garbage plays. But still, here we are. And this shotgunner just loves rushing. This is like the third time I've done this bounty, just because that shotgunner would just run straight at me and just ruin my life. Yeah. That or Black Tusk would just wander in from behind me and go, grenade, 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 grenade. Yeah, it's a pretty worthwhile build. I'm quite enjoying it. It's up there in terms of overall sustain and damage output with a lot of my other builds, so I will be keeping this one. It also acts as a buff or debuff to my allies, or for my allies. And overall, it is just a little bit of fun, and let's face it, who doesn't like fireworks? And apparently I did test the headshots, sorry, just spent the past like day or two tending to my sick cat, which has been fun. Anyway, so that's with the True Patriot hitting 1.131 mil. We're going to swap to my typical DPS build, which is absolutely bonkers, I love it to pieces. And we're going to put our FAL on. Reset the damage when I get to it. We're going to go straight for those headshots, and we hit about 1.3 when they go straight to health. Yeah, so we're not gaining that much more damage, but we're losing 12 rounds. It weighs up in the long run. Against reds, purples, and your standard elites, your standard red build will probably be better. Against named elites, as well as chungers, my build will, I believe, just edge it out purely because of the magazine size, nothing else. It's literally all just comes down to the overarching magazine size. So it's 4-piece True Patriot with critical hit damage rolls, which is really annoying to get, I will admit. And then I've swapped all the blue cores to a red core, Cheska backpack with vigilance, crit chance, crit damage, and a Gruppo chest with glass cannon, crit chance, crit damage. Hopefully this is something that will pique your interest. It's quite fun. It's certainly a different way to play FAL compared to what I have seen other people do, but in the meantime, have fun, good luck, and don't die. It's bad for the health.